the architecture of the covenant, symmetry, the Decalogue, and the promise plan in the Hebrew Bible. Introduction: the methodological crisis and the illusion of chaos. For the past 2 centuries, academic study of the Hebrew Bible has often emphasized fragmentation. Influenced by post-enlightenment rationalism and Hellenistic analytical traditions, the historical critical method has approached the Old Testament as a compilation of competing traditions and editorial layers. This perspective frequently interprets the canon's diversity as an irreconcilable contradiction. John Barton observes that the prevalent view of the Old Testament as morally and literarily chaotic arises from Western readers' inability to recognize the underlying family resemblance that unifies its writings. Modern systematic theologies frequently impose external frameworks onto this perceived chaos. Classical dispensationalism divides history into distinct epochs, while certain forms of covenant theology tend to spiritualize concrete promises. Such systems may obscure the canon's inherent organic logic. In contrast, biblical theology recovers the text's native Hebraic cognitive environment. Approaching Scripture with a presupposition of unity enables its diversity to be interpreted as progressive revelation within a single, unfolding, divine purpose. Drawing on David Noel Freedman's structural analysis and Walter Kaiser's promise plan framework, this essay demonstrates that the Hebrew Bible is a deliberately organized literary work. The primary history, from Genesis through 2 Kings, functions as a covenantal legal brief centered on the Decalogue and culminating in the Babylonian exile. The latter prophets and writings serve as symmetrical supplements offering commentary, survival wisdom, and eschatological hope. This architectural symmetry scaffolds the promise plan of God, the progressive account of the Creator's campaign to reverse the fractures of the 3 cosmic rebellions, Eden, the Watchers, and Babel, restore the cosmic temple, and fulfill concrete promises to ethnic Israel within the one people of God. Section 1. Epistemological humility and the postulate of unity. Understanding this architecture requires epistemological humility. Modern scholarship has often assumed a haphazard assembly of disconnected traditions. Evidence of purposeful compilation, overarching structures, recurring themes, and quantitative patterns suggests deliberate design. This contrasts with Greek demands for immediate linear resolution. The Hebraic cognitive environment employs block logic, holding complementary or paradoxical truths in tension. Proverbs chapter 26, verses 4 through 5, juxtaposes opposing advice on how to answer fools. Job presents both traditional retribution and its apparent failure. Genesis chapter 1 and chapter 2 offer distinct yet complementary creation accounts. Such diversity befits progressive revelation over time and prepares readers to appreciate the primary history's intentional symmetry, uniting covenantal realities across epochs. Exegesis should therefore begin with a postulate of unity. Assuming chaos flattens nuances or dismisses the text as primitive. Assuming unity reveals authorial and editorial intentionality. Symmetry, structural, thematic, and quantitative, indicates deliberate design and points to divine superintendence of human authors guiding the promise plan. Section 2. The primary history. A covenantal legal brief. According to Hebrew canonical counting, where Samuel and Kings are each treated as a single book, the primary history comprises approximately half of the Hebrew Bible by word count, roughly 150,000 words. It begins in Babylon, at the primeval rebellion at Babel, and ends in Babylon, with Judah's exile, pivoting on the stipulations of the Sinai Covenant in Deuteronomy. Freedman shows that the narrative systematically documents Israel's violations of the 10 Commandments, book by book. After the law in Exodus, examples include Leviticus chapter 24 on blasphemy, Numbers chapter 15 on Sabbath breaking, Joshua chapter 7 on a chance theft, and Judges chapters 19 through 21 on systemic violence. This redefines the primary history as a covenantal legal brief, justifying the justice of exile. The exile functions as the melancholy center, mirroring the rupture of the Edenic sanctuary, and underscoring the need for the restoration of the cosmic temple within the Promise Plan. Section 3. The Symmetrical Supplements, the Prophets, and the Writings. The canon does not end with 2 Kings. 2 symmetrical supplements extend the arc: the latter prophets and the writings. The latter prophets offer divine commentary on the exile, indicting idolatry while proclaiming new covenant hope: restored land, rebuilt temple, renewed Davidic dynasty, and internalized Torah, as seen in Isaiah, Jeremiah, and Ezekiel. The writings provide post-exilic survival guidance under Persian rule, emphasizing Judah's endurance, Yahweh's faithfulness to Jerusalem, and personal piety. Examples include Ruth's Davidic lineage and Chronicles' focus on the temple. Minor anomalies, such as Daniel's placement among the writings, reflect living traditions rather than undermining the macro symmetry. The 3 divisions offer complementary temporal perspectives on the same covenant. Section 4. The Promise Plan and the True Center of Old Testament Theology. This symmetry informs the center of Old Testament theology. Kaiser identifies the Promise Plan of God as the text-immanent unifying motif, a single, organically unfolding divine word that reverses cosmic fractures and restores sacred space. The primary history's architecture serves as its literary vehicle, progressing from Eden through the Abrahamic, Sinai, and Davidic covenants toward the fulfillment of the New Covenant. Diversity of genres and contexts reflects progressive revelation, with earlier stages grounding later fulfillment in one divine purpose. Section 5. Eschatological and non-supersessionist implications. This framework supplies vital guardrails for Christian theology. Classical dispensationalism rightly affirms literal land and Davidic promises, but can impose artificial discontinuities. Progressive forms of covenant theology rightly stress the unity of the people of God, but sometimes spiritualize concrete promises, risking structural supersessionism. The text-immanent approach of Kaiser and Freedman offers a superior middle way. The primary history roots covenant in concrete historical realities. Exile is literal. Prophetic restoration must therefore be equally concrete. The gifts and calling to ethnic Israel remain irrevocable, as Paul states in Romans chapter 11, verse 29. Gentiles are grafted into Israel's commonwealth through the Messiah, as described in Ephesians chapter 2, verses 11 through 22, and Romans chapter 11, verses 17 through 24, expanding rather than annulling the promises. The Promise Plan culminates in historical eschatological restoration of the cosmic temple on a renewed earth. This non-supersessionist reading also opens constructive avenues for Jewish-Christian dialogue. By affirming the enduring validity of God's covenants with ethnic Israel and engaging shared scripture, it fosters mutual respect, grounded in historical continuity and eschatological hope. Conclusion. The claim that the Hebrew Bible is chaotic cannot withstand structural scrutiny. Freedman's primary history functions as a sophisticated covenantal legal brief. The prophets and writings provide symmetrical responses of indictment, survival, and hope. This architecture undergirds Kaiser's Promise Plan, revealing organic, progressive revelation guided by a unifying divine mind. The Hebrew Bible narrates the Creator's faithful reversal of cosmic rebellions, reclamation of the nations, and restoration of sacred space, preserving promises to ethnic Israel while preparing for the Messiah. It calls the Church to new covenant participation, internalized Torah, renewed cosmic temple, and the royal priestly vocation of the image of God.